It started with a soft chime, the kind you barely notice until it stops you mid-motion. I was bent over the front counter, stacking a set of delicate lace camisoles. Lavender, ivory, something blush-toned and whisper-thin. The kind of fabric you don't wear out, just wear for someone. My back arched slightly. I felt the stretch in my spine. I wasn't trying to be seductive. I hadn't tried in years. But my blouse slipped just enough for the neckline to fall a little. I didn't fix it. I don't know why. The bell above the door rang softly, and I turned, halfway through fluffing the lace. He was standing there, tall, smooth, his skin the color of roasted chestnut, maybe 6 feet 1 inch. A gold chain glinted against his chest, barely visible beneath a loose white t-shirt that hugged him in just the right way. He couldn't have been older than 25. And his eyes? They didn't look away. And I didn't make them. My name's Olivia, and I'm 52. I run a small boutique in Savannah, the kind of town where everyone knows your past before you speak it. I'd stopped expecting surprises long ago, until he walked in. A refund request. That's all it was supposed to be. But the moment our eyes met, the air thickened. He stepped forward slowly. His hands were in his pockets. I watched his gaze travel, not with disrespect, but curiosity. As if I were art. As if time slowed down just for him to memorize me. I bought this chain for someone else, he said, his voice a low, velvet register that ran through me like warmth on skin. I raised an eyebrow, lips curling at the corner. Didn't work out? She wasn't worth it. I held his gaze, enjoying the tension. It had been so long since a man looked at me like that. Not like I was past something, but like I was the something. And you think I am? He shrugged, smiling gently. Maybe, but I came for a refund, he said. The air grew still between us. Thick, charged. I forgot the door was still unlocked. I forgot the cameras don't work after 5. I forgot how long it had been since I let someone touch me like I deserved to be remembered. It happened before I could ask his name. He stepped around the counter. Slowly, like he was giving me time to say no. I didn't. His hand rested on my waist. Then the small of my back. Then lower. I let my hands fall from the lace, letting them land on his chest, fingers splayed. The heat of him, it startled me. Not just physically, but how right it felt. As if my skin had missed this exact touch. Tell me to stop, he whispered. But I didn't say a word. My blouse slid from my shoulders. His breath was on my neck. He kissed just beneath my ear, slow, reverent, as if asking for permission without words. I moaned softly. Not because of the touch, but because something inside me, long buried, stirred. We sank to the floor behind the counter, surrounded by silk and moonlight spilling through the window blinds. My skirt hitched up. His chain brushed my collarbone. I remember laughing softly against his mouth. This isn't how returns usually go. He chuckled too, then kissed me again deeper. And I let him. I didn't care about rules or the past, or if this meant anything tomorrow. I just needed to feel again. And he knew exactly how to give that to me. Have you ever wanted someone so badly you forgot the rules? If this already has you holding your breath, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, share it, and click that bell. Because Olivia's night isn't over. And neither is yours. I told myself it was just a moment, just a spark in a slow week. But that night didn't leave with him. It lingered. In the scent of his cologne that clung to the counter. In the faint imprint of his hand on my waist. In the way the mirror caught my face when I undid my blouse later that night. And touched myself, but felt empty. He didn't promise to come back. And I didn't ask. But every time the bell above the door jingled, I turned around too fast. And then it rained. Not the gentle kind. The kind that soaks the sidewalks, that makes the sky press low on your chest like a memory you can't swallow. I was folding scarves, trying to focus, when the door opened. I didn't even look up. I couldn't bear the disappointment again. But then I heard his voice. Low. Steady. I forgot something, he said. I looked up. His hair was wet. His shirt hugged him like it missed his body. And those eyes, they didn't ask. They claimed. I swallowed hard. What did you forget? I asked, trying not to sound like my heart was speeding. He stepped closer slowly. His voice dropped. The feel of your skin. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I just locked the door behind him. And this time I didn't forget. He led me to the back room, where I used to store old memories and unopened boxes of things I didn't need. He pushed aside a stack of cashmere throws and cupped my face. And for a moment, I felt 19 again. But then he kissed me, and I remembered I was 52. A woman, not a girl. And this wasn't pretend. His hands were warm, careful, like he'd memorized my shape in the dark and wanted to feel it in the light. He undressed me slowly, not out of hesitation, but reverence. I gasped when his lips found the scar just above my hip, a tiny imperfection I always covered. But he didn't flinch. He whispered over it. "You're not just sexy," he said, brushing my hair back. "You're real." My breath hitched, not from touch, but from being seen. He kissed down my shoulder, my collarbone lower. And when we came together, it wasn't hurried like last time. It was unwrapped, patient. And when I whispered his name into the silk-covered sofa beneath us, I wasn't calling for more. I was calling for everything. I thought I could handle it. That if I just kept it to those moments, the soft lighting, the clasp of his fingers around my hips, the weight of him pressed into me after hours, it would stay harmless, contained, like perfume sealed inside a bottle. But days went by, and the scent of him clung to everything. The fitting room curtain, the silk camisoles I folded, the inside of my thighs. He hadn't promised anything that night, and I hadn't asked. Still, I waited. And when he didn't come back the next day, or the day after, I told myself it meant nothing. But at night, I kept replaying it. How he whispered my name like it meant something. How I melted under him, not like a woman giving in, but a woman finally being seen. And when the lights were off and the store was locked and the world was quiet, I reached under my own sheets, just to remember. It was raining the day he came back. The street outside was silver and blurred. A gentle mist fogged the windows. I was rearranging the scarves, pretending to be fine. And then, just like that, he pushed the door open, no umbrella, no rush, like the universe had simply dropped him back into my life. I froze. He smiled, brushing water from his sleeves. "I forgot something," he said, his voice low, just like that first night. I blinked. "What?" He stepped closer. No smile this time. His voice sank into my skin. "The feel of your skin." The backroom door clicked shut behind us. The silence was velvet. He undressed me slowly, not with urgency this time, but with reverence. Like he'd been dreaming of it. Like I was a painting he didn't want to rush through. When he kissed the scar below my navel, the one from my emergency appendix surgery at 28, I flinched. Not from pain, but from being seen. "You're not just sexy," he whispered. "You're real." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. No one had said that to me in years. Not my ex-husband. Not anyone. His hands cradled my breasts, not to grope, but to marvel. His mouth moved like a vow across my chest, down my stomach, until I gasped and arched and forgot I was supposed to feel ashamed. He made love to me like I was the only woman he'd ever wanted to know. Not a fantasy. Not a trophy. But something warm and flawed in here. And I held on to him, not because I was lonely, but because something inside me had come alive again. But desire has a twin, and her name is doubt. He started showing up more often. Once he brought me food. Homemade. Spaghetti with fresh basil. He sat outside the shop, waiting for my break, like some boy smitten at a schoolyard gate. I laughed it off at first. "Why are you doing this?" I asked one day. He just looked at me, eyes dark but open. "Because you make me feel like I'm not broken." Still, I was scared. I was 52, for God's sake. He was 25, young enough to still believe passion could outlast the storm. I tried to end it, told him I needed space, that I was confused. So I closed early one day, locked the door, turned off the lights. I sat in the dark, breathing like I'd run a marathon, trying to undo the thing I'd let bloom in my chest. But he came anyway, knocked once, then twice. "Olivia," he said through the door. "You think locking me out will fix this?" My heart thundered. I didn't answer. He waited. I heard the rain tapping behind him. And then I unlocked the door. I grabbed his shirt and pulled him in. Pushed him back against the counter where it all started. This time it was my hands first. My fingers on his belt. My lips at his throat. I didn't care if the blinds were still cracked open. Didn't care if the candles were out, or if my bra was mismatched, or if I was too old for this kind of madness. I was alive. I straddled him on the counter, knocking over a tray of pearls. They scattered, forgotten. I moved with intention, slow, deep, owning every second. He groaned my name, breath hot against my shoulder. And I whispered, "Don't hold back." He didn't. Neither did I. We crashed and melted, gasped and tangled. Throughout the night, and somewhere between moans and silk and whispered apologies, I let myself cry. Not from sadness, but from release. For the first time in years. I wasn't pretending. I used to think mornings were cruel. Too bright. Too honest. But that morning, when I walked into the little kitchenette in the back of my boutique and saw him, everything in me slowed down. He stood there, shirtless, leaning casually over the counter like he belonged. His jeans were barely zipped, hair still messy from the way I'd tugged it hours earlier. He was humming to himself, barefoot, pouring coffee into the chipped ceramic mug I always reached for first. Something about the way he stood there unbothered, unashamed, made me feel more seen than any lover ever had. Not for how I dressed, not for how my body looked in lace, but for how I softened around him. He turned when he heard me. His eyes found mine instantly. Still that same look, like I was a secret he never wanted to share. "Hey," he said gently, holding out the cup. "No sugar, just like yesterday." I laughed. "2 nights, and you already remember my coffee?" He gave me a crooked grin. "I remember everything about you, Olivia." I took the mug and sat down, watching him walk around my space like it was his too. We didn't talk about what this was. No labels. No promises. Just comfort in chaos. He reached for the gold chain he'd once brought in to return. It was now sitting on a velvet pad near the register. "Still keeping this?" I asked, sipping slowly. He picked it up, walked over to me, and with fingers that had once undone me so completely, he placed it around my neck. "No," he said, clicking the clasp gently. "It's not a return anymore." It found the right neck. The chain was cold at first, but it warmed quickly against my skin, just like him. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. He leaned down, pressed a kiss to the base of my throat. "You look more like you every time I see you," he murmured. Like a woman who stopped hiding. And maybe I had. Maybe this, whatever this was, wasn't about age or logic or time. It was about moments. Like that one. Soft light. Bare skin. Steady hands. He never asked to move in. Never claimed me. But he kept coming back. And I kept letting him. I thought I was done being touched. Not physically. Anyone can touch skin. I mean really touched. Held where it hurt. Kissed where I stopped believing I deserved softness. I thought passion belonged to younger women and younger hearts. That people my age just learned to live without certain things. But when he came in asking for that refund, I didn't know he was going to change everything. He touched more than my body. He touched the parts of me I had buried under folded towels, unopened wine, and maybe next time excuses. He kissed the quiet, held the ache, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel used. I didn't feel old. I felt wanted. Not for a moment, but for the version of me I forgot how to be. Maybe I was the one who needed to be returned. Or maybe, just maybe, I finally found someone who knew my worth the moment he looked past the woman behind the counter and into the woman who stopped asking to be chosen. If you've ever felt seen when you least expected it, if someone once touched a part of you no one else ever reached, then you know the kind of story this is. So like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the bell, because sometimes love doesn't knock. It walks in asking for a refund and leaves with your heart.